This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John DiNallo. But before they say another word, I just want you to know, hopefully you all can see this. See, it says Dallas Wings. If you are interested in going to a Dallas Wings game and want a special on tickets, you can contact me here at newclevelandradio.net. Or you can go out to the website and you'll see there's a signage about it. So almost all their games are sold out this year, but they've got like 6 games that they're selling special tickets for. And I have the inside track. So if you want to go, let me know. And hurry up and get your tickets. And I'm going to be at one of the games, which is June 13th. So if you want to meet me, you can meet me at the Dallas Wings game. Whoa!
Wow. All that and meet Karen Hale. Wow. This is, are they going to put you on the big Jumbotron? So, or
I
whatever
doubt
they call
it.
it? That'll be, come and kiss Karen Hale. Yeah,
Yes,
it's even
yes,
better.
yes. Sure, why not?
Jumbotron, whatever it's called. Wow. Oh, that's great. Well, great shout out to our friends, the Dallas Wings, our honorary WNBA team down there in Dallas. And thank you, Karen. Let's get right into the show. Did you mention the name that we're on? What in the world?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Wasn't sure. This is What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news podcast. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. It's me, Paul Seaburn, here for another week to tell you the weird things that are going on around the world, around the universe. You never know where the stories are coming from, but we hope that you enjoy them as much as we do. We hope to get a few laughs from them as well. The first voice you heard again was Karen Hale, our producer and the media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, our platform for the podcast and for many great podcasts. So check out newclevelandradio.net to find out how to locate us on Spotify and all the other places, and YouTube especially. And then check out all the other great podcasts Karen had. And then after all that, check out Yes I Can Coaching with Karen, which is also headquartered at newclevelandradio.net and is our sponsor. So all that great stuff at one location, newclevelandradio.net. The other voice, I don't know if you heard his voice yet, but the other voice that you will be hearing all afternoon is my old buddy John DiNallo, host of What in the World of Sports, our color commentator and all around good guy. Hey, John.
Hey, Paul, thanks for the big introduction. Appreciate that. And looking forward to a great show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we got a good one today. I want to do a couple of shout outs also down in Texas. We have a lot of listeners down in Texas, old friends of the show. And I want to say hello, especially to Mike and Pam. Mike and Pam had got some damage in that severe storm last week in Houston. So they're back up and running. I think their power has been on and off. So if they're listening, hi, Mike and Pam, and I hope we cheer you up today for with the show. And we got a great show for you. We've got, what do we got here? We've got the world's worst baseball promotion ever. We were just talking about the Guardians baseball team offline here. Wait till you hear this promotion. You just won't believe it. Sandwich wars are going on right now in Indiana and England. Two different kinds of sandwich wars. We'll find out about those. Why you should check the ingredients on your beer. John, this is for you. You may want to check, reading the label.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing the information.
Yeah. Well, here's another one that John would be interested in. Nipple Mania, which is not a wrestling event. We'll find out what it is, but it's happening in Colorado. Yeah. Well, that'd be a great one. I'd buy pay-per-view to see Nipple Mania if it was wrestling. But wait till you hear this. You may not want to pay for this. A dinosaur museum just opened up in Arizona with fossils that would embarrass a brontosaurus. And also, speaking of brontosauruses, we have a story about what a brontosaurus burger would taste like based on a new study. Let's see. What else? Plus, we got a bunch of more odd news. We've got world records. John's got a great sport for us this week, as always. And then we play Bluff the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news show. So let's get right to it. Every week, we like to do some shout outs to our friends. And we also mentioned that if you have something interesting, if you have a comment or if you have something interesting you'd like to send to us, please do. You can send it to me on Facebook. Some of that's the best way to get in contact with me. You can contact Karen through the website. So sure enough, some of our regular listeners have been sending some things in, and I like to post a couple of them this week. So the first one comes from Beth. Beth lives in Houston, and Beth was for those of us, she knows we like to talk about senior moments. And she says that there may be a new explanation for senior moments, especially the ones you have, like when you walk into a room and you can't remember why you walked in. That never happens to me, but I know, John, does that happen to you?
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, I must admit.
I know it does. I know it does. Karen, I'm not going to ask you. So
Thanks, I
here's what
appreciate it.
here's what here's what Beth sent us to answer the question of why it might be happening. And this says, did you know when you walk through a door and forget why you were there, it could be because you ran into an alien and he had to erase your memory so he could escape? Something many of our regular listeners could relate to, many of our paranormal friends out there. So she thought that was appropriate. Speaking of our paranormal friends, a lot of those come from mysteriousuniverse.org, where I am the editor and head writer. So hello to all of you out there. That one's for you from our friend Beth. Now, John and I talk about our buddy Brian down in West Virginia. He always likes to send us stuff. So Brian sent a little message in answer to the question, why does Bigfoot always look mad? So here's Brian's answer to why Bigfoot always looks mad. And this is a cartoon of a tree, and on the tree it says Bigfoot smells, but it looks like it was pecked into the tree. And there's Bigfoot with a scowl on his face, thinking to himself, woodpeckers. So that's why Bigfoot's mad.
That could be very, very accurate, right? Wow.
Yes.
Leaving nasty messages for Bigfoot. They're probably mad because Bigfoot's always banging on the trees, knocking on the trees with his stick. So, there's only so many trees in the forest. Bigfoot, save some for the woodpeckers. And finally, now this is the original podcast listener to What in the World, and that would be my lovely wife Donna, who found this in answer to the question, how smart is Bigfoot? Bigfoot is actually very mathematical. Now, if you remember, on March 14th, which is 3/14, is called Pi Day, because the number pi begins with 3.1415926, blah, blah, blah. So she says that Bigfoot is so smart, he actually knows what Pi Day is. And here's how she determined that. This is a pie from some Bigfoot bakery. It looks like an apple pie, but there's a beautiful baked Bigfoot on the crust of the apple pie that I would feel terrible biting into. Of course, I would anyways, but you notice anything unusual about that Bigfoot, John?
He has 1 foot.
He only has one leg. I've been trying to figure out. I think what they're implying is that he's climbing out of the pie.
Right, I think that's kind of what it is. Right.
His body and his other leg, and very nice painted toenails there. In fact, also count the number of toenails that are on that Bigfoot foot, and you'll see that there are 6. Yeah.
6, right? Yeah.
So it's a mutant. All right. Well, thanks to everybody for all those contributions. Let's get right to story number 1. Oh, this was a popular one on Facebook this week. Lady named a two-toed sloth named Jan. It's a Linz two-toed sloth, lives in the Krefeldt Zoo in Germany. Here's a photo of Jan there. Beautiful two-toed sloth there. She just set a world record as the world's oldest sloth after celebrating. Oh, this is a he. I'm sorry, Jan is a he. Jan, if you're listening, I apologize. Jan celebrated his 54th birthday. Sloth in the wild rarely make 20 to 25 years old. So he's doubled the age expectancy of two-toed sloth. And get a load of this. He has just fathered his 22nd child. So he's 54 years old. He's a sloth. He just fathered his 22nd child, which could be said about a lot of rock stars as well. You know, they lay around, they're 54 years old, and they continue to father children. So I thought that was great. The main difference between the more common three-toed sloth and the two-toed sloth, which is what Jan is that Jan only has two toes. Other than that, they're exactly the same. I couldn't find any other differences. I think the two toes might be a little smaller. I don't know. But the thing that I was thinking about this when I put that joke out on Facebook, a lot of the rock stars really do have quite a few children. So let's I'm going to give you a couple of rock stars here and see if you can guess how many kids they have. John and Karen, both of you, everybody at home, you can play along. Rod Stewart. How many do you think Rod Stewart has?
Wow. I only
No
know
answer.
his daughter.
No answer. Oh, yeah, that's her last name is Stewart. I know that.
Yeah.
Rod has 8 kids. 8 kids.
Wow.
5 different partners. All of them apparently know why. All of them think he's sexy. I guess that's it. So, according to the song, right? Willie Nelson also has 8 children. Now, I'm not sure. I think they're all from his most famous wife that was in the band. And also, this proves that pot must be a fertility drug because Willie's always stoned. So that could be why he has 8 kids. I don't know. Mick Jagger also has 8 children, proving that he ain't too proud to beg. Again, from a number of supermodels that apparently he's been married to. The other difference between two-toed sloths and three-toed sloths is that three-toed sloths can give the other animals in the zoo the finger. That's the where's the horn? There we go.
Yep.
Never thought about that, Paul.
Okay, here's something else I bet you never thought about, John. We always talk about growing up in Catholic schools. Do you remember the 7 deadly sins, of which sloth is one of them?
Sloth is definitely one of those. Is one of them. I remember that. Yes.
I'll put you on the spot. I did. You didn't jump right in and say all the rest of them, which are pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. So sloth is a sin. Sloth is the habitual disinclination to exertion, which is a fancy word for being lazy. Or being retired. I'm not sure which. I don't hate to think that being retired is a sin. But John, have you ever thought about this? And everybody out there, why are there 7 deadly sins but 10 commandments? Shouldn't they be the same? Well,
again, another point to ponder here this afternoon, Paul. Wow. No, I never really thought about that.
I think Bigfoot is better at math than the popes. That's my answer to that. Or they couldn't come up with 3 more sins, which I think, I can't imagine. It's so the Catholics are so good at coming up with things to be guilty about. I've got my suggestions. Speeding in a school zone, that should be a sin. Wearing a Speedo when you're over the age of 60, that should be a sin. Stepping on ants in someone's yard, that should be a sin, or especially someone else's yard. It's okay in your yard. There you go. I already came up with 3 more sins. We could have 10 deadly sins. Deadly means you're going to hell if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, theologian John?
You are right. Yes.
There we go. We have confirmation from the one non-Catholic in this group. Okay. John, this is you and all of our sports fans out there. The Memphis Redbirds minor league baseball team will get, actually, this happened last Friday. They gave the first 4,000 fans coming through the gates a voucher for, get this, 2 packs of toilet paper. You got 2 6-packs of White Cloud if you attended the Memphis Redbirds game last Friday, because nothing says toilet paper like watching a game where you get the runs.
Oh.
Sorry. Can you believe, would you go to a game just to get 2 rolls of toilet paper?
That thought never crossed my mind, but bringing that to our attention now, no, I wouldn't necessarily go because of that. That's,
Well, I would if the cost of toilet paper today. Hey,
there you go.
That's a point.
Okay,
You got a point with that. Yeah.
An affirmative on that one. My question is, what if you're number 4,001? What do? You go to the restroom at the stadium. You got to, you're like Elaine on Seinfeld. Can somebody spare a square? Free toilet paper. For free toilet paper at a game. I can't believe this. So I'm hoping this doesn't become a trend, because next thing you know, they'll be giving out bobblehead dolls. And instead of the head bobbling, it'll be their butt bobbling to go along with the toilet.
Oh boy.
Or worse, after the toilet paper, the next game they have free prune juice day. So you got the toilet paper all set for the prune juice. Now let's get out of this topic.
let's get out of this one.
Okay. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you, John. I knew there was a reason why you were on the show, to move us along here.
Of course.
All right. Sony Pictures Television is the producer of Jeopardy. They just announced that a new version of Jeopardy is coming out, a spinoff called, get ready for this, Pop Culture Jeopardy, where the categories include things from alternative rock to the Avengers, from Broadway to MMA, and from Gen Z to Zendaya, or Zendaya, depending on how old you are. My question is, what is the end of civilization as we know it? You don't mess with Jeopardy. You don't. This is our game. This has been our game for 50, I don't know how many, 60 years. Don't mess with Jeopardy.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah. And they're dumbing it down, obviously. This is, Jeopardy is at least one game show where you can sometimes fool yourself into thinking that you're smart. You dumb it down, you're just a pop culture expert. And that, that's not exactly smart. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to start making more changes to even make it even easier for the contestants. They'll be letting you write the answers on your hand. As many answers as you can put on the palm of your hand would be legal. Or letting you phone a friend, like the old Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Can you imagine that on Jeopardy? Jeopardy. John, do you watch Jeopardy every night?
Yes, Annette and I are very faithful followers of the show. We really enjoy it. Yes.
What do you think about this idea?
Well, to your point, it is actually watering it down. I mean, I don't even know if you should even have it called Jeopardy relating to pop culture. Just call it something else. Don't call it Jeopardy. Yeah. Really, I don't think. I don't see the connection there, quite frankly.
Call it Family Feud. That's more.
Where's Richard Dawson when you need him?
Yeah.
Closer. Yeah, there you go. Richard Dawson. Boy, you haven't watched Family Feud in a while, John. Okay. Was that his show, Family Feud?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah, sure.
All right, very good. Oh, good. John, I didn't even put John on the spot there, and he came up with the trivia answer. All right. This was another great story from this week. A judge in Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is our Sandwich Wars story number 1. Judge in Fort Wayne, Indiana ruled that, get ready, tacos and burritos are actually sandwiches. Now, why would a judge get involved with something like that? Turns out a Mexican restaurant wanted to open in a strip mall, and the strip mall had a rule which permitted sandwich shops, but it banned traditional fast food restaurants. So this restaurant said, well, we're not a fast food restaurant. We serve sandwiches, tacos and burritos. You know, I'm wondering, what if it's a restaurant that sells wieners wrapped in tortillas, and calls them hot chihuahuas? Would that be a sandwich, or would that be a taco, or would that be something else that would ban them from the strip mall? I don't know.
I
Do
don't
you
know.
think, John, a taco is a sandwich, or is it a something else?
You know, I would have to say it's a sandwich. I think by definition, right? I mean, you've got, filling, right? And even though there's not two pieces of bread, which is a traditional sandwich, you have something that's, flour, that kind of thing. So no, I would say it's a sandwich. Yes.
A half a sandwich, maybe even a half a sandwich.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So one piece of bread would be a half a sandwich. I would call it a sandwich. So
Yeah.
McDonald's is already upset about this. So in Fort Wayne, McDonald's is already offering Grande Max, Quarto Pounders, and Felice meals instead of Happy Meal, so that they can get into this mall as well. Now, here's another sandwich story we had from last week, another big sandwich wars. This is from Great Britain, the British Sandwich Association. Let me stop here and say, why doesn't the United States have a sandwich association that we could go to resolve important issues like this? I don't know. I think we should. If Great Britain has one, we should have one. So the British Sandwich Association defines a sandwich as any form of bread with a filling, generally assembled cold. Okay, so that's their definition. And that includes wraps and bagels, but excludes anything served hot, such as burgers. Now, is a burger a sandwich? According to the people in Great Britain, no, it's not a sandwich. I was shocked at that. John, you want to weigh in on that? Is a burger a
Oh,
sandwich?
I think I think a burger is a sandwich. I think just by
Yeah.
definition that is. So, then what's the rationale, or what's the reasoning the British Sandwich Association has that a burger is not?
It's British. It's like these are the people that have a fruit pudding called Spotted Dick, but they can't call a hamburger a sandwich. It's a British thing. That's all I can think of.
Okay, all right.
Now, the USDA, which is the Department of Agriculture, says that a sandwich is at least 35% cooked meat and no more than 50% bread. So that's for a closed sandwich. So that's with two pieces of bread, and at least 50% cooked meat for an open sandwich. So they do have a rule.
What about a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
That's right. That's right. What about things that are not meat, like cheese or peanut butter and jelly? That's real cheese. I don't know. That's what it says. But they also, the USDA manual says that burritos and fajitas are sandwich-like, and frankfurters, which would be hot dogs, are a sandwich type. So they're kind of wishy-washy on that. So they're really no help at all. This is for you, John. I know you love these. Stromboli is explicitly excluded from being a sandwich. So USDA says Stromboli, not a sandwich. Italians are still being discriminated against after all
Yeah, I
these
say
years.
that. No, now in my world, the Stromboli is very much a sandwich. So
Yeah. How about this? How about if you took two slices of pizza and you put one on top of the other? Is that a sandwich? You got meat in the middle, you got pepperoni, you think sausage, two slices of bread. I'd call that a sandwich, a triangular sandwich.
I think you let to take it up to the British Association and see what they say, Paul.
We'll make a field trip. We'll make a field trip to England, to
All right.
London.
Okay.
All right.
Petition. The petition. Make the Stromboli a sandwich. All right. Speaking of sandwiches, also from England, to promote the new mini fish fingers. Their mini fish fingers, Birdseye, has joined forces with an artist to make the world's smallest fish finger sandwich. Here's a photo of it. This fish finger sandwich measures about a half-inch square, a quarter-inch tall, and weighs the same as a single pea. The sandwich has 3 tiny fish sticks, a slither of butter, a tiny lettuce leaf, and a tiny drop of ketchup on the sandwich. And there's obviously a British sailor of some sort with the fish mini fish finger sandwich on one of his large fingers. Look for them soon at a Short John Silver's near you.
Wow.
So, yeah,
You wonder how the market will be for a product that small.
I don't know, John. They're using it to promote the new mini fish fingers. So this is actually made of clay, so it tastes like your typical English food. Spotted dick, I guess. Looks like the kind of sandwich that you get in an expensive restaurant. You know, when you go to one of these really top class restaurants and you realize you can't afford the entrees, so you order a sandwich and they bring out this little tiny thing and they drizzle some kind of sauce on it to give it, you know, ambiance. But it's just still $20 for this little tiny sandwich, and you're really mad because you're on a date and you ordered it and your girlfriend says, oh, I'll just eat some of his. I won't order anything. So you got this tiny share it with your girlfriend. Here's another photo of those mini fish sticks there. I don't know. You know, good luck to Bird's Eye. I hope they do well with their mini fish sticks. But if they're the kind that fits on the finger of a fisherman, I don't know. I don't even want to know what the finger of a fisherman smells like. But anyway, while we're on, how did that get in there? That was not in the script. We didn't have that in rehearsal. Okay, sticking with our food theme here for a second. Kellogg's, the maker of Eggo waffles. Eggo, boy, everybody's favorite, not from a restaurant waffle, has teamed up with a company called the Shoe Surgeon to create sneakers that look like Eggo's new product. So actually two products. One is the Eggo fully loaded chocolate chip brownie waffle and the Eggo fully loaded strawberry delight waffle. So you can see in this photo here that we're showing the strawberry delight waffle looks kind of like a waffle on the top, and then there's looks like strawberry goo oozing out of onto the sole. The chocolate one looks like the entire shoe is covered in chocolate syrup. You can see two of those chocolate waffles popping out of the toaster over there. You know, these are perfect for people who used to be runners and now they can't figure out why they can no longer fit into their Nike waffle trainers. Remember those the waffle sole on the bottom? The thing you don't want to do with these, if you do buy these waffle shoes, don't wear them when you take your dog to the dog park. You definitely won't leave with the shoes. You may not leave with the tops of your feet either, because they look really good. I think I have another photo of one. There's two more right there, and there's the Eggos. So the ad for these shoes, and I didn't see how much they cost, but they're probably a couple $100, I would imagine, the way shoes are these days. The ad says they're made from premium suede waffled leather, which apparently comes from cows that lay down on wicker beds, and that's how they get that waffle texture. And down on the midsole, the fillings, which you see on the midsole, are inspired by the waffles themselves. There's a hidden zipper stash pocket for a syrup packet or anything else you want to sneak into your sneakers. Who uses one syrup pack when they go to eat waffles or pancakes? One syrup pack is nothing. It's like, you know, it's a mere hint of syrup. You need a whole bottle for something like this.
I agree. I agree 100%, Paul. Yes.
It's for those people who eat those little sandwiches. You know, they obviously go, oh yeah, sure, I only need one little syrup pack too. And then a soft cushion collar around the top highlights the fluffiness of the waffles. If you're eating a chocolate, what are they called? The chocolate waffle, whatever chocolate chip waffle. Eating one of those, fluffy is not your goal. Stuffy may be your goal, or puffy, but definitely not fluffy. I don't think you're gonna get fluffy eating these waffles. John, are you a Eggo waffle fan by any chance?
No, not particularly. You know, if it comes to like, yeah, you know, a waffle as compared to a pancake, I'm more of a pancake eater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you could afford to go out to eat, so you don't need to eat frozen waffles at home. Eggo waffles, though, when we were growing up, they were a big thing. They were a
Oh
new
yeah.
thing. They were invented in 1953 by an inventor by the name of Frank Dorsa, part of the Dorsa brothers invention team, and he developed a process where the waffles could be cooked, frozen, and packaged in a fast freeze process. Along with frozen waffles, these two brothers also invented Eggo potato chips, which I don't remember, and Eggo syrup to go along with the Eggo waffles. Believe it or not, for Halloween, this guy who invented the Eggo waffles used to pass out frozen waffles and Eggo potato chips to trick-or-treaters. I'm surprised his house didn't get burned down.
Yeah, really. There's some kind of backlash. You would think there's some kind of backlash to that, sure. Wow.
And I know when we went trick-or-treating, there were some Halloweens where it was so cold the waffles would have stayed frozen. But still, frozen waffles on Halloween, that's a travesty. What's the famous slogan for waffles? You remember that? Lego my Eggo.
Oh,
Lego
sure. Yeah, of course. That was the slogan, right?
Oh yeah, they're bringing it back. Yeah, I thought it had to do with legs pantyhose, but apparently not. I thought there was some connection between those two, but apparently there wasn't one. Okay, so now we get to the beer portion of our show. If you're a beer drinker, you want to listen to this. Microbiologist from Cardiff, I'm not sure. This is a Welsh university. They use brewer's yeast extracted from killer honeybees from Namibia, Africa, and they brewed several batches of craft beer out of this using this African killer bee yeast, brewer's yeast. They're hoping to market this killer bee beer in Wales and use the proceeds for bee research. Now, they already did, it's available. They've been testing it. One of the testers said that it gave him a buzz, but then he got the hives. So, we're not, yeah, I know. So I don't. This is a glass of beer with a bee on it, but it's not. I don't think it's the Buzz Beer bee.
Is that a bee at the bottom? Is that the bee at the bottom of the glass? See that little brown thing?
No, it could be. It could be a bee.
Yeah.
At the glass, maybe implanted somehow in the glass, or God forbid they put the bartender put the glass down and smashed a bee on the bar with it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't want that to happen. So they knew right away that people would be all up in arms about killing killer bees. So they said that they only use bees that died of natural causes. So I don't know what that is. I guess that means that they didn't use bees that died from pollen overdoses or were stepped on out in the garden or caught in a jar by mean little kids. They died of natural causes. I can't think of any other way that a bee could die. But we talked about this on the show before. If they can do this with honeybees, why not train the bees to make little wax bottles, and then fill the little wax bottles with beer. And then you have little wax bottles of beer for adults, like you have those little wax bottles of sugary juice for kids. Remember those?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
They were. Yeah, we talked about those on the show. They were called nickel nips because back then you could get a whole little container of them for a nickel.
They were Halloween treats, weren't they?
Yep.
They were. Oh yeah, they were big on Halloween. That's true. Yeah, if you didn't get a Lego waffle, you were hoping to get a wax bottle. So I think it'd be great. You got a bottle made from the bees. You got beer made from the bee. Budweiser should look into it. Budweiser, their new slogan, "The King of Bees." Sorry about that, Budweiser. Well, Budweiser's not going to sponsor us, so I don't think we need to worry about that too much. If you think beer is bad, we got another story about strange ingredients in beer that you need to pay attention to here. South Australia, there's a brewery called the Robe Town Brewery, and they've made a beer using, get ready for this, camel dung. I'm not going to tell you. You can figure out what camel dung is for those of you who have never heard the term dung. It comes from the other end of the camel. Let's put it that way. Believe it or not, they collect camel dung from a local dairy farm, and then they use it to smoke the malted barley that they then make the beer out of. Which, before we talk about the beer, if they're collecting it from a dairy, that means people are also drinking camel milk in Australia. Now, personally, I don't particularly drink cow milk anymore. I've switched over to the stuff that you're not supposed to call milk, made out of almonds and oats and all that other stuff. But John, are you someone who would try camel milk?
No, not at all. In fact, this is disgusting.
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb on that one, guys. I mean, this is almost preposterous, actually, the way I see this.
Well, we haven't even talked about the beer yet. So both Karen and John agree that camel milk is disgusting. I would try it, but I don't think I'd make a regular diet out of it. By the way, they did do a taste test on camel milk. Do you know what camel milk tastes like? Chicken. All right. So what they do is they take leftover grain from the brewery and they feed it to the camels. So the grain that's left over from previous batches of beer, they take it back to the dairy, which is next door. They feed it to the camel. Then they collect the dung from the regular malt grain, and they use it to smoke. They use the dung then to smoke the malted barley. They light a fire underneath it and all that dung smoke. John, didn't we see dung smoke when perform when we were in college? Dung smoke. Isn't that a band name? I'm not.
Oh,
that's
another event that I don't really remember.
I don't think any of us tried dung smoke, not even in a bong. But so the end product does not contain any dung, if you're worried about that. And the brewer says it did not taste like the animal that inspired the beer either. It tastes like Keystone Light. So, I mean, it's I'm not sure anybody's going to drink it anyways. So guys, if you're at a bar and the lady next to you looks at you and bats her eyes and says, yeah, you can buy me a beer. If you get her a camel beer, I guarantee you're not going to get humped. So,
okay.
Little lesson from What in the World.
Take it to the bank.
Take it to the bank. Thank you, John. All right, one more food story here. Where would you find the world's largest steak? Texas, maybe? Au contraire. The world's largest steak was in Bedrock. If you're a fan of the Flintstones, Fred Flintstone used to always eat Brontosaurus steaks. Here's a cartoon from a Flintstones episode, and there's Fred. The steak is so large it hangs over both sides of his barbecue pit. That's how big it was. Here's another photo. Not only did Fred eat the biggest steaks, he also ate the biggest rib. Remember those?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Of the show? Yeah, he used to get the poor girl at the fast food restaurant had to carry it out to his car. It was a drive-in. He also ate the world's largest hamburgers. There's a picture of Fred about to bite into the world's largest hamburger. Do you remember, John, what restaurant Fred used to go to get his world's largest hamburgers? I don't know if you were a big fan. That's a tough one right there.
No, I don't.
John passes on that one. Al's Brontosaurus burgers.
Okay.
Fred was out of money. He's begging Al to give him one. Like Wimpy, I would gladly pay you Tuesday for a Brontosaurus burger today.
There you are.
So I was thinking about this. What would a giant Brontosaurus burger or even a Brontosaurus steak taste like? According to Dr. Stephen Brusati, a paleontologist at the University of Edinburgh, said the Brontosaurus burger or steak would taste like some kind of fragrant, delicious, gamey cross between chicken and venison. A gamey cross between chicken and venison. In other words, it would taste like a White Castle slider.
Wow.
If the slider was the size of an entire White Castle. So the way he came up with that was he said that the Brontosaurus was mostly a vegetarian, believe it or not. I don't know how they got that big on vegetable. And back then, there were different plants, and most of the plants that the Brontosaurus would eat were evergreen. So it would have a kind of a minty, evergreeny kind of smell and taste to it, I guess. Like, if you threw your Christmas tree into the barbecue and made hamburgers, maybe that's how it would taste. But I know no matter what it tastes like, it always tastes better if you put stadium mustard on it. And that's another tip from Cleveland and the fans of the Guardians. That's where you get stadium mustard at.
Very true, Paul. Yes.
That's right. John, I know John's a big stadium. Karen too. Karen, what did they you've been down in Houston or in Dallas for the Rangers. Do you know what they serve on the hot dogs down there?
Regular mustard.
Regular mustard. Yeah, that's what they did in Houston when I went to Minute Maid Park. So if you like brown mustard on your hot dogs, come to Cleveland, see a Guardians game, and have a hot dog with stadium mustard.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Another story. This one's from Colorado. Guy by the name of, get ready, Harry Hoofklappen. It's his real name. Harry Hoofklappen went to a body modification shop and had 4 additional nipples installed on his torso, giving him a total of 6. There's a photo of Harry Hoofklappen getting the extra nipples installed on his torso. So they're underneath his original 2 nipples, going down his almost a 6-pack on his stomach. Why would he do this, you may ask, Karen? I thought I would have thought you would have asked.
I'm getting nauseous looking at the picture.
Apparently, he had extra nipple rings, and he didn't understand the concept of the clasp. Once you put one in, you could take it off and put another one on. So instead, he had extra nipples installed so he could wear more nipple rings. That's the only thing I can think of. Or maybe he was going to an orgy, and he didn't understand the concept of a threesome, so he wanted to have extra nipples for all of his extra partners. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is he went and he had to go and have the nipples installed, and then he went to a tattoo parlor, and the tattoo artist colored in the nipples so that they matched the rest of the nipples on his body. To make them look more natural, which begs the question, what's natural about 6 nipples? Nothing.
I would venture to say, Paul, nothing.
I don't think. If you go to your local tattoo parlor, especially in Cleveland, you won't see John or myself or Karen especially standing in line to get extra nipples installed anywhere on our body.
That's another thing you can take to the bank.
You can take it to the bank. And on that note, we're going to take something else to the bank, and that is What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. Every week, I ask my buddy John, who I've known since college, who knows more about sports than anybody I know. I said, John, find us a sport that goes with the theme of what in the world. Real sport, sometimes strange, always funny. And regular listeners know John always manages to find a strange sport. This week is one of the most strange sports that he has come up with. And John, I got your photos ready. Why don't you tell us about the sport? And those of you on YouTube, get ready for this.
Oh, sounds good, Paul. Thanks again for the introduction. I appreciate that. Okay, audience. our sport this week is finger wrestling. Finger wrestling.
Okay.
Now, this sport originates in Germany, and in Germany, it is called Fingerhalken.
Okay.
On May 12th of
Flesh.
this year, on May 12th of this year, over 150 Bavarian men came together to compete in Germany's national championship of finger wrestling. It was held in a big beer tent in the small southern village of Bernburen. And again, over 1,000 fans watched while the competitors drank beer, ate sausages to the strains of live Bavarian music. Now, at this tournament, the youngest competitor was 15 years of age, and the oldest was 70. So it spans a pretty wide gamut there in terms of the people, the ages of the people competing. Now,
Wow.
so finger wrestling comes from Germany's Alpine region and originated as a way to settle disputes between men. The guys would sit on stools at a table opposite one another and try to pull the opponent towards themselves over the table using only one finger. Any single finger other than the thumb was allowed in the competition. And then eventually, the men switched from bare fingers to hooking them in a leather strap to give them more traction. In 1961, the Fingerhawker Gau Alberberg Association was established to set up the rules and then run the tournaments. Each contest now has a referee, a chairman, and 2 assessors. An assistant can sit behind a contender just to support their bodies if they lean very far back. And only men can compete in finger wrestling, and they must be dressed in traditional German outfits, as you can see here in the photos that Paul has provided, if you're on YouTube.
Only men, Karen. I don't think, can you imagine women doing this? No.
No.
Now, to train for finger wrestling, competitors, they actually strengthen their fingers by crushing tennis balls, using their hands, doing single-digit pull-ups, and lifting weights, get ready for this, up to 110 pounds using only one finger. So there is training that goes on to make sure that, again, the fingers are going to be able to stand up to the competition. Now, before a bout, competitors also use an expander to warm up their fingers and put powder on their hand to keep it dry.
Wow.
Now, the contest usually lasts for only a few seconds, and then the winner of the competition then moves on to the next round. Unfortunately, injuries are commonplace, and they include cuts and broken or dislocated fingers. Now, finger wrestling is practiced in other regions of Europe, including Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. There are annual Bavarian, Austrian, German, and Alpine championships with different weight and age classes.
Wow.
Now, I'll try to pronounce this properly. The German proverb, "Jemanden über den Tisch ziehen," which means to defeat or to play off against someone, has its origin in finger wrestling. And it does refer to the fact that you need both force and technique to win. As we mentioned earlier, with the different ways of training, people work on their fingers to make sure they're going to be able to, withstand the competition. Now,
wow.
Now, finger wrestling, in summary, sounds like a sport that could really catch on in the U.S. in bars, at parties, and even on the professional level. If it does, it will sadly mean the end of your grandfather's pull my finger pranks,
Oh,
Right. Yeah. Oh,
which we all know about, which we all know about.
yeah.
yeah, man. That's right. If the kids are aware of finger wrestling, I'm not gonna risk pulling grandpa's finger. He might pull me over.
That's right.
Wow, unbelievable. Finger wrestling with the exercises. John had a couple of photos of the guys doing one-fingered pull-ups and dragging a weight around with their middle finger. You it just doesn't look like much fun at all.
No.
No, I think it's a
Obvious,
very difficult competition. Yeah,
yeah. This is one of those sports where beer definitely has to be involved. There's no question about it.
that is
Um,
true. That is true.
yeah.
Well, thanks
Finger
for that
wrestling.
one, John.
Oh, you're welcome.
Right, right.
It was a fun sport to research.
Yeah. Oh, Wales. It's in Great Britain as well as in the Scandinavian countries. It looks like in Austria, obviously, German. A lot of the beer drinkers over there. Yeah, I don't think that I've ever heard of it in the United States. Have you, John?
No, I have not, Paul and Karen, in audience. I
No.
have.
Well, it's funny because I remember after I thought about it for a little while, I did remember we did something similar to finger wrestling when we were in college. John and I were in the same fraternity, and we would get challenged by other fraternities to weird competition. Um, John, do you remember when we got challenged to a finger wrestling match?
You'll have to refresh my memory on this one again, Paul. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm surprised you don't remember because you were a key part in this. So so another fraternity challenged us to finger wrestling, and the older brothers always recruited me and John because we were the ones who fell for all these things, and so when we heard about it, we were all set to go, and then we saw the two guys that we would be finger wrestling against. So one of the guys, these were definitely ringers. Here's one of the guys.
Hi.
His fingers the size of small logs. His hand was bigger than my head.
Wow.
And the guy that John drew, look at the size of
Oh,
his middle finger. His middle finger was at least a foot long.
He was sending
So
a message. This guy was sending a message.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah, I think he's been playing this sport for a while. So John, of course, was a smart guy in our fraternity, and he came up with a way to help us train that allowed us to win both of those tournaments. And here's what John came up with for training. He had us soak our fingers in a glass of beer, and somehow I think maybe it dulled the pain. I'm not sure what, but we ended up winning that tournament and going off and having a good time drinking beer with the other fraternity. So anyways, that's finger wrestling for the week from What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. Thanks again, John, for that great
John.
sport.
You're very welcome, Paul and Karen, and audience. Thank you.
All right, so that means we're at the end of What in the World of Sports. That means it's time for everybody's favorite weird news show, Bluff the co-host. Great sport. We got plenty of fans of the sport. Simple game. I have 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference. All of those were real. These stories may be real. They may be a bluff. And it's up to John, Karen, and all of you playing out there to decide real or bluff. Wagering is allowed. So place your bets. John and Karen, put your hands on the buzzer, and let's get right to story number 1. It's not the same as slaying a dragon, but a British man is being knighted for saving a family by punching an alligator in the nose and scaring him away. The 8-foot-long alligator had escaped from its owner in London and was hiding in a small lake where the family decided to go for a swim. The man, a former amateur boxer, was walking on the shore and saw the gator heading for them. So he jumped in, punched the lizard dozens of times in the face, and finally knocked it out so that it could be captured and returned to its owner. King Charles made the man a knight under an old dragon slayer rule and also offered him a job managing the moat at one of his many castles. Okay, so the man in England who was made a knight because he saved a family by punching and knocking out an alligator. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you.
Well, I think I've heard that to get away from if you're that close to an alligator, you're supposed to hit them in the nose. I don't know why, but anyways, so I'm going to say it's real.
Say it's real because it's easier than hitting them in the butt. That's why you hit them in the nose, I guess. I don't know. So I don't know. All right. So Karen says it's real that the man was knighted because he punched an alligator in the nose and saved the family. John, how about you?
I kind of think it could be real, but the more I think of it, I don't know if the king would knight a person for doing such as if he saved his family, that's obviously very important. But I'm going to say it's a bluff. I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Okay, John says it's a bluff. Karen says it's real. Let's check with the judges. The judges say, congratulations, John. That's definitely a bluff. Although, Karen, on a technicality, will have to give you half a point because it's true that if you in a conflict with an alligator, you should punch them in the nose.
Yeah,
and
I've
then
heard
run
that.
like
Yes.
yeah. But King Charles would never knight anybody, no matter how desperate he is for going out and waving his sword around because he's got nothing else to do. Okay, so that means John's ahead 1-0. Ooh, John. John's gets the first point on the board. Let's get to story number 2. From the Be Careful What You Wish For file comes the story of a man in California whose neighbors were so tired of looking at the boat in his driveway that they got the local government to order him to build a fence tall enough to hide the boat. Not wanting to go to jail, the man built a wooden fence, then hired an artist to paint an exact replica of the boat on the fence. It's so real that it fools seagulls, but the real fools are the neighbors who complained in the first place and are now hoping he gets tired of fishing or moves away. In the meantime, the artist is busy painting cars, junkyards, and lots of other things on fences to show what's behind them. Okay, so the guy who had to build a fence to hide his boat got back at the neighbors by painting a picture of the boat on the fence. Real or bluff? John, we'll start with you.
In the category of anything's possible, I'm going to say that this is a real story. I could see someone doing that.
Okay. All right. John says it's a real story. Karen, how about you?
Totally agree. There are people that are so obnoxious, they would do that on purpose.
They would. Oh, so you're saying the guy who painted the boat is obnoxious, not the people who complained about the boat.
No,
in
not
the
the people that complain. The owner of the boat in the fence.
Yeah, I agree with Karen. Yeah, the owner is obnoxious. Yes.
Got it. Okay, great. All right. So you both say it's a real story. The judges say congratulations to both of you. That is a real story.
All right. Okay. Very good, Karen. Very good.
Look it up. The guy did a super job on the painting. I know the owner's a jerk, but it's a really cool painting. All right. So that means the score is 2 to 1.5. Which, yeah, you did. I didn't forget. Points are doubled in round number 3, so anybody can win here. So let's get right to story number 3. The typical National History Museum will have a display of different dinosaur skeletons, but a new one in Arizona is being called the first ever Pooseum because it is filled with nothing but fossilized feces, which paleontologists call coprolites. The over 9,000 fossils of dinosaur poo at the Pooseum come from all over the world and range in size from a pea to a 4-foot wide titanosaur poop. While the purpose of the Pooseum is fossilized feces education, there are a few fun displays, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex sitting on a toilet. We don't know for sure what he's thinking, but it could be that the Pooseum is the most unique tourist attraction in Arizona. Okay, a museum devoted entirely to dinosaur poop called the Pooseum. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you.
I'm praying. Okay, I will go to the Catholic Church this weekend and pray that this is not real.
Ooh, boy, that
That's a
Okay.
big one.
So Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
Yeah, I'm with Karen on this totally. Yeah, I pray this is a bluff.
Okay, so both John and Karen say that the museum is a bluff. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, you know, if you're in Arizona anytime soon, you might want to look up the museum. It's a real natural history museum. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Nine
horrible.
Wow.
samples of dinosaur poo.
Category that anything's possible now, I guess, right? Wow.
I thought I couldn't believe it. The poo, and that's what they call it. That's what they don't call it a natural history museum. It's the Pooseum. All right, so let's see. That means this final score was 2 for John, 1.5 for Karen. John is our winner this week. Congratulations, John.
Oh, thank you, Paul.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Karen. It was good
That means
competition.
you've got it easy. You can take it easy on this Memorial Day weekend. You don't have to study for next week.
Oh, that's good.
Not
That's
bad.
right. We'll get a break
There you
that
go.
way.
All right.
Sure, sure.
So that means we've reached the end of another episode of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our producer, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, and co-host. Thank you, Karen, for all that you do for our show, for all that you do for all the podcasts at newclevelandradio.net, for all the people you coach at Yes I Can Coaching with Karen, from the Dallas Wings, from the Panther City lacrosse team who you graciously promote every week, our favorite non-Cleveland teams, professional team. We love it. So thanks again for all that you do. And then thanks to my buddy John DiNallo, host of What in the World of Sports, all around good guy, my old friend John. Thanks again. We'll see you next week, I guess.
Sounds
Same
good,
day,
Paul.
right?
Yes, next Tuesday, right? Next Tuesday.
Yep. Right after
Tuesday,
the
that's right.
holiday.
Right.
We always want to thank all of our listeners. Thank you for tuning in, listening in the future, whenever you might be listening or watching on YouTube. Please watch on YouTube. We talked about a number of the photos this week. You're the reason why we do the show. I hope you have as much fun listening as we do putting this show on. Thank you to Donna and Brian and Beth for sending stuff in. You know, we encourage you to do that. Let us know. We always have fun finding out that other people have the same kind of weird interests as we do. That always helps.
That's a good way to put it, Paul. It's a good way to put that.
There you go. All right, this is Memorial Day weekend, the first weekend of the summer, the official kickoff of summer. So everybody enjoy yourself. We've got beautiful weather in Cleveland. I hope you have beautiful weather where you are for whatever you're doing this weekend. And again, we will be back on Tuesday with another new episode of What in the World.